Muy buenas tardes, estamos una vez más aquí con Lente Latino desde a través de Cincinnatísimo y también YouTube. Les cuento que el día ha sido un día pero súper agitado, el clima está bonito, ya empezó a sentirse más como de verano, así es que estamos con un montón de novedades y una invitada súper especial para nosotros. Cuando voy a empezar a hablar, vamos a hacer esta entrevista en inglés y obviamente cuando salga grabada ya ahí usted va a poder ver, pero este es un desafío para todos. Vamos a hablar en inglés hoy día. So our very, very special friend, Tina DeAlderete, is our guest today. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming with us. It is just so far away from you. And we knew it was going to be a challenge to get here, but you're a trooper and you're here. And thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing me. It's exciting. I'm excited.
But thank you so much. Tina DeAlderete is a prominent artist. I was telling her that I started doing all my research, and she is all over the internet. Is a prominent artist, salsa expert, vocalist, and event coordinator based in Cincinnati, Ohio. Not really. Now she's based everywhere. But she's widely recognized as the longtime host and master of ceremonies of Salsa on the Square, a major summer event series held in Fountain Square, Cincinnati. She's also the only woman lead vocalist of the band Tropicoso. Bienvenida. Welcome to our show, my dear Tina. It's been such a pleasure knowing that you are coming and preparing for this interview, because I know that a lot of people know you and a lot of people wanted to ask questions, so I asked, and some questions were sent in. So
okay.
I put them in the list for you. What first inspired you to get into music?
Well, that's an interesting question. So music has been a big part of my life forever, as far as like just in my everyday experience, right? We're cleaning the house, put on music. You're brushing your teeth, taking a shower, you're singing in the shower, that type of thing.
That's the Latino part.
Of course.
That's the cultural
Of course,
part.
yeah, that totally came from my family, my parents and stuff, that just kind of carried on throughout my life. But as far as, singing and doing music as a career and performance, it was something that kind of morphed out of a different art form. So music was not my primary form of art,
Really?
as far as performing and training and things like that. I was a professional dancer first. So I trained to be a professional dancer. I started touring with dancing at 19. And then through the dance company that I was a part of, we went on this period of layoff. And during that time that we had off, I went and auditioned for musical theater for a production of West Side Story that just happened to be in that little, few months that we were off from the company. And I got into theater. And once I got bit by the theater bug, that was over.
And you liked it?
I loved it. Yes, I fell in absolute love. And then I was doing theater for a long time and, doing show after show after show after show. And somebody came to see one of my shows. I was doing Rent, the show Rent. And I got a phone call after that show that said, hey, we saw you in the show Rent. Would you be interested to come and sing for our show? And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do that.
Of course.
So I went, I did the show, and then through that show, I met a musician who was like, hey, we're looking for a singer for our band. Why don't you come audition? And I was like, okay. And then that's kind of how it happened. It was like this accidental blessing.
Yes.
I always loved singing and I always loved music, but it wasn't something
it was not your first love.
Yeah, well, okay. It was always something that I was like, oh, I would like to do that. That'd be kind of cool. But it wasn't something I was actively seeking out at the time. But the universe was like, oh, hey,
yes,
I've got some plans for you. So
here
you go. It did.
Who were the most fundamental artists or mentors that shaped your identity as a singer, or first as a dancer and then as a singer early in your career?
Ooh, I think those are two different things. So as a dancer, I had an instructor, a mentor. She was a mentor of mine who really not only shaped the trajectory of my career as an artist, but shaped the trajectory of my life as a person. I'm getting emotional. I'm getting emotional already. So when I was younger and I was coming up to training to be a dancer, there was, and I'm still so grateful for her. Her name is Crystal. She kind of took a bunch of us under her wing, and she trained us, and she basically said, okay, I know that you want to go and, do all the dancing, but we're going to sit down and we're going to learn what you need to know first before we get to dancing, and set me up for, knowing my fundamentals and basically teaching me what I needed to know about my own abilities to get from A to B, right? In a space where I maybe was doubting my abilities, she was like,
Correct.
no, you can do it.
Yeah.
You just don't have the right information yet. So here, sit down. I'm going to teach you, right? And she taught me what I was capable of in a space where I didn't feel like I was necessarily capable of that. So she gave me that tool for my toolbox, and that
To build your confidence.
to build my confidence and to believe that it's possible for you, right? And so that is something that has not only transformed my life, but also as an educator, that is something that I try to take from her that passes on to all of my students also. It's not always, are you good at this? It's like, what do you need to know to get good at this?
Correct. Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that's profound.
Yes.
Yes, that is. Well, Tina, and we're going to be talking a little bit at the time with all the things. She's a multi-talented artist and been a very, very complete professional, unique, very unique artists are like that. And I'm so honored that you're here with us today, because I know that a lot of people look up to you, a lot of artists, and a lot of people don't know how to get in the right path to do what you want to do, because you knew always, because you're very talented, of course. I mean, you probably didn't know how much you could do with your body, but you always knew that you're different. Did you always feel different?
Yeah, I definitely always felt different. That was definitely a thing. Definitely always felt different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is a cool thing. So having mentors at that part of your life is just so amazing.
Yeah, formative.
You perform with groups like Tropicoso, Mambo Combo as their only female vocal, and earned awards such as Best Latin Female Artist. That was like huge last year. How has your vocal style evolved over the years? By starting as a singer, then moving to starting as a dancer, moving to theater, and singing finally in these bands that play salsa.
Yeah.
Or Latin jazz.
Yeah. Well, and other genres as well. So I've been actually so blessed to, my singing career started in the shower, okay, and in the car on road trips. That's where it all started. But my first first vocal style was musical theater. And so moving into, I find that with salsa, Latin jazz, and I don't know if you have this experience also, but I find that when I sing in Spanish, it sits in a different place
It does.
than English.
It sits in a different place in your brain, in your ear, everything.
Like the vowels,
Yes.
like everything
We
sits a little
about
bit
this
different.
once because it transforms actually the artist. Presence.
100%. And I feel very blessed because I get to sing in Spanish quite a bit. I also get to sing in English quite a bit. And I've just been very blessed on this journey to be able to sing so many different genres of music. Because, yes, I'm doing salsa, and I'm also doing Latin jazz. I'm also doing pop and country and rock and roll and you name it at this point. And all of that is just kind of another little, thing to go study, different vocal styles and sounds, and see how that fits, and I get to put those in my toolbox with every new genre that I get to sing. And
I got to hear you sing once in English, and to me it was a whole different Tina.
Whole different ballgame.
But I know it's you. I know it's your ability to perform, your vocals, your range, and everything. But it was just like, wow, that's
completely different.
And that is part of being a true bilingual, bicultural artist. You move within the genres in each culture, without any problem, and to transition from one to the next, being different yet the same person. Do you understand? I mean, I think you understand. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, now the vision for the Latinx community. Because you moved here from Chicago, I believe.
Yeah. So I was born in Albuquerque, and then I grew up here up in Dayton, up around Dayton.
Okay.
And then I moved to Chicago for 5 years, and actually was kind of back and forth a little bit throughout that time. But I was in Chicago for 5 years, and then I came back right at COVID time, right at COVID time. So I've been, you know, I'm still doing some work in Chicago and other places at this point, but I wasn't.
So when we met, you were still going back and forth from Chicago. Oh, wow. Yeah. Now, what, talking about being the award recipient of the best female artist, Latin artist in Kentucky, the Midwest, where we've seen this culture grow through the years and earn its place. And today have one of the biggest events that we have here all summer long, from May through September, where we dance salsa every single Thursday. And we were talking about with Victor last week, in which we said it is funny because it's not a 100% Latin audience. There's people from everywhere, and for those 3 hours, everybody belongs to the same group, which is amazing.
Yeah.
What was the driving force behind the Latin Music Awards in Kentucky? How do you see it evolving in the next 5 years?
So the Latin Music Awards in Kentucky,
and this is brand new to me. I'm learning as you tell me about it.
So that event, that organization, I actually don't do much. I don't do anything actually on the side of planning it. There is a group of artists and a group of sponsors and organizers down in Kentucky that put that event on, and they do an excellent job. I think this is like their, I'm going to get this number wrong. They've been doing it for a little while now.
I think there was like 8 of them.
Is there 8? Okay.
Yes.
This is their 8th year? Okay. But yeah, they do an amazing job. And Kentucky, especially, that's where the awards happen, they have an incredible music community down there.
In Louisville. This is in Louisville,
This is in
right?
Louisville, yeah, but also even outside of Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky in general, as a state, as well as Ohio, there's an incredible music community that happens down there, enough to be able to have these amazing award ceremony. And what's great about the award ceremony also is, it's giving a platform for recognition for artists that, you know, work really hard at their craft, but it also provides scholarship opportunities to.
I was reading that. That is pretty cool.
Which is really cool. And you know, the people who are behind that work really, really hard to organize all of that and make sure that representation is not only recognized but present, and especially here in the Midwest. So
now you see that growing in the next 5 years.
Oh, 100%.
Not going anywhere, but just up.
Yep.
Perfect. Who is the ideal musician or artist to collaborate with you for a future event?
Oh,
like
my
that?
Goodness. Let's for which kind of project? Oh, we're getting into
for the Latin project, for the Latinx community.
Oh, let's see. I mean, how big and small are our dreams here?
We're big. We are big.
We're dreaming big. Okay, everybody. I might have to think about that one. Who do I want to have a collaboration with? Yeah, we'll circle back with that one.
The end. Because you're doing amazingly big when it comes to actors and
all the things
like
yes.
TV right now. So yes, the sky is the limit.
Sky's the limit.
Yes.
Yep.
How does your work help bridge cultural gaps or provide visibility for the Latinx community in Kentucky and the Midwest area?
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are a big influencer on that?
I mean, not really. I mean, I feel like the intention for that on my end is big, right? It's something I take seriously and don't take for granted, and it's something that I intentionally try to, expand as representation. I don't know that I consider myself like that, but it is something that I'm actively attempt to.
Well, you are a leader for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, of course.
But representation, especially in this community. What's great about it is I feel like, as somebody who grew up in this area, the amount of, the Latinx community that is here now compared to how many people were here when I was growing up is grown exponentially, which is crazy and awesome.
Yes.
And, not even just Latinx, but just like diversity in general. It's really kind of blossomed here in the Midwest. When I was growing up, part of the reason representation is so personal for me is that I was in a community where I was the only one who looked like what I looked like, right? There was always this kind of maybe like otherhood about it. I didn't necessarily feel different from my peers, but I felt like there was something different that maybe my peers felt about me, kind of. And anytime I would want to feel connected to my roots or to my culture, I was like looking around, and there really wasn't a whole lot to grasp onto, or to relate to. And sometimes that looked like, other people's families who were eating what I was eating, or other people's families who were listening to what I was listening to, or other girls' bodies who look like mine, right?
Yes.
And I think particularly coming up in the dance world,
Yes.
right, that was, kind of big on the radar. And so I think, especially as an artist, always kind of running into roadblocks. Because you do, as an artist, there's pressures. Like, you're too short, you're too, brown, you're too curvy, you're too whatever. You're going to hear it in the industry, and I have.
I remember when I first moved to the Midwest, they were looking for dark hair, curly singers. And I was straight hair.
And you were like, nope.
Bleach blonde. But it is like that. I mean,
yeah.
And I never thought about that, because I just thought that it was just straight pure talent, and it's not.
Sometimes,
yeah. And so sometimes they will tailor a role for you because of your talent.
Sure.
But I remember that that's what they were looking for at that time, whenever this was like 1994, 1995, when I moved to Cincinnati. But I remember that they were specifically going for that type of look.
Yeah.
Not even, they were looking for the look first. They had not even decided what kind of genre they wanted to do. So that was like very different to me.
The industry be like that sometimes.
When you are preparing a set list or a project or something new that you're coming up with, what does your creative process look like?
Well, here's where this gets tricky, because it depends on the project.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that looks different for like choreography, and that looks different than if I'm taking on a theatrical role, or if I'm doing a musical project or that type of thing. With music, it really tends just to be more, the inspiration kind of comes up front, where it's like, okay, what is it that I'm trying to create? And then it becomes about the logistics. If it's something like choreography, that's where it starts to get, choreography is my favorite medium to be as a creator. That's where it starts to get interesting. Because,
and I've always thought that choreography is the hardest part.
Yeah.
I've always thought that it is so...
It's intricate.
Yes.
It's intricate. Yes. Yeah. And what I love, I think, about being... I think what we're calling this now is multi-hyphenate artist. What I love about that is choreography is truly the medium where I feel like I can cross-pollinate, meaning like I can grab from other things. So that means I can choreograph with musicality and pull from music, and I can, create shapes and pull color theory and pull focal points and things from photography. And then I can pull from theater. I can pull from, different genres that I've trained in that might be, not typical for what the project that I'm doing, but adds like a really unexpected element, stuff like that.
Is that
right?
is that the part of your art that you think is more complete, that allows you to be more complete?
I would say it's the most developed, probably, because I've been doing it the longest, and because I feel like I've done it in so many different venues, arenas, that that's the one where I feel like I get to be most creative, I feel like.
What we talked about challenges, and have you ever faced like a creative block? I'm stuck. I need to do this, and I'm stuck, or a major professional setback. How do you just get back up and keep going?
Yeah. I think one of the most difficult things as an artist is to be on a creative deadline, where like you have to make a deadline and you're like forced to like grind something out, and you're like, especially if you're in a space where you're maybe not as inspired to do it, or you're exhausted, or you're tapped out of ideas and you still got to meet the deadline. For me, that is like probably one of the toughest spaces to be in as an artist.
Because it goes beyond procrastination and goes beyond, because it's not up to you. It's about the inspiration that you have to create.
That inspiration typically comes from like, something organic, something divine. And if it's just not coming, you gotta figure something out, right? So that's the toughest space for me to be in, inspiration when I'm having a block. But really the only tool you have at that point is just your tenacity. Right? You just gotta keep grinding.
And your knowledge,
you have to, your tenacity and a little bit of grace. Because, when you're highly inspired by something, you feel really good about it. Sometimes when you're not highly inspired by something, you put out a product and you don't necessarily feel good about it. That doesn't mean the product's not good.
Correct.
You don't feel internally like it's your best work.
Your child,
Right. It doesn't feel intrinsically, like maybe it's your best work. It doesn't mean it's not good though. But yeah, that's the toughest place to be in. So, you know, when I find that I've got a deadline to meet in a creative block, it's just like, okay, you just got to put your pedal to the metal and keep grinding.
Yes.
And, you know, give yourself the grace that like this isn't going to be, you know, what it could be if I had another week in my
Correct.
heart, you know.
What about professional setbacks? If sometimes, like at that time when I was young, I was single, I was going through grad school, and where I could have gone in either direction, teaching, or I could have gone to singing. But it was not my year because everybody was looking for brunettes.
Curly brunettes, yes.
So how do you, because that not only happens once, it happens over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So it happened to me over and over again. And I never took it that seriously that it would like weaken me.
Sure. Yeah. Professional setbacks are a part of the gig.
Yeah.
They're part of the gig, right? Like going in for I remember when I was younger and I was going to New York to audition, I remember waiting all day for an audition. And you know, there were hundreds of girls in these rooms, and I remember waiting all day, and it got to be like 4 p.m. and we had all been there since like before 6 a.m. right?
Oh my God.
It got to be about 4 p.m. and there were still like hundreds of girls in the room, and they look around and they're like, okay, so we're running out of time, so we're just gonna type you in or out. So what that means is we're gonna pick the people who feel like they look the part enough to stay, and the rest of you can go home, right?
My.
Things like that, or even just like you're gonna hear. No, sometimes it's like the person that you're partnering with, you don't look good or sound good together, or sometimes it's the professional setback is you get injured, right? You know, you get sick, you get injured, you get, which does happen. And I think, or sometimes it's just that like you go to the audition, you just don't get the part, right? Sometimes that happens, and that's a setback if it's something you really had your heart set on, or if it was something you were planning on paying your bills with or something like that. Like those are all setbacks. But the thing about it is, A, is just to accept that this is a part of the journey, and B, you just got to keep going. I feel like, you know, the key to that is to, you know, unless it's an injury that is like really going to put you out, you know, the rest of it, the no's and the this didn't work out or that didn't work out, like, okay, it's not working out in this arena, so I'm going to go find a different place where it is going to work out, because somewhere it will. So, you know, you just kind of stay in that space of like, okay, if this one isn't the path, then I'm going to find the one that does. And that's kind of where you have to live when you're hearing no, or you're getting, you know, setback and stuff. And even if you're injured, you know, like I think part of having diversity and being an artist is I know that, like, you know, if I get injured and I can't, you know, dance, then I will sing. If I can't sing, then I can teach. If I can't teach, then I'll try acting. If I can't acting, then I'm just going to go do my photography and I'll stick with painting or whatever. That is
so cool. We're going to transition to Cincinnati. How does your background in musical theater influence your approach to live salsa performance?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. So the theater world obviously is like very production driven, right? So yes, like we each have our individual performances, but there's like a collective, there's like a mindset everybody has that it is, you know, a collective goal in mind, and that's the entire production. And sometimes in theater that looks like if you forget your line, then I'm going to supplement for you, or if you know, your costume is starting to fall off, then I'm going to come and make it a scene, that I'm going to fix it, or I will pick up your prop on the way out. But we're all helping each other for the greater common good of the production. And so when it comes to, you know, the salsa world and salsa on the square, you know, I think just, yes, you know, there are times where I have to kind of focus in on my own performance, but there is also just kind of that mindset of like, this is for the collective, and every move that is made is kind of on behalf of the good of the product as a whole, for the community, for the show in hand, for the series in hand. You know,
how much it's grown through the years.
100%.
What changes have you seen through the years? Because I remember when I first came in 94, 95, I don't really, 94 I think it was. There was one little festival that was done in a church parking lot. Yeah. And to see where we are right now and the representation that we as Latinos have in this area has been nothing but like amazing for me to see. So how have you seen those changes from where you are?
Yeah, what's interesting is watching, I feel like when you're counting time in summers, which is kind of how Salsa on Square goes, it's so interesting because I feel like I've watched artists and the audience members like grow as people. We've seen, people that were children grow up and go off to college, even just watching like the involvement of my fellow musicians, like what they were doing artistically when I first, kind of joined the event and the scene and what they're doing now, right? Just watching that happen. But also, I don't know if you remember, but the square now, our stage is on the same side as the Fifth Third building.
Yes.
It used to be
the other side.
On the other side. And what's so interesting about that is I don't think it gets enough credit that when we switched sides, the space opened up and we had more space. Yes. We have more space now than we used to have. And when we used to have that space, it used to fill up. And what's happening now is the space we don't have fewer people in a bigger space. The people are just filling out more.
Yes.
So the crowd is growing. It looks the same, amount of fullness, but we have more space.
There's more space. So
there's more people coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got more people. And I think, it's kind of become a Cincinnati, kind of common thing. Like you say Salsa on the Square, anybody knows what you're talking about.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
and
it's
everybody has one time at least or one summer done some salsa.
Exactly.
And I love that because when I first came, there wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
And for me to see how the different cultures come together, how the different communities come together, because it's not only people from Cincinnati, it's people that come across the river from here, from Kentucky. They come down from Indiana. We also have musicians that come all the way from Chicago to perform
Columbus,
every year. So it's a show that it's part of Cincinnati.
It is. Well, and you know what? I need to give a quick shout out to just the community at large, because Salsa on the Square at its root it's become this living, breathing entity. Yes. And the reason that it's living and breathing and succeeding and perpetuating in the way that it is because there are so many people who are responsible for that event becoming what it has been. And that looks like the bands that come back and play for us, year after year and have supported the people that, come out and support the event every single week. The people that, run the event for us, our 3CDC friends, our sponsorship, the people that are doing things on the back end. There's a whole team of people and then a whole community that supports it. And that's really the reason that it's become what it is. And there's like this little spark of like magic and positivity and just everything in the air, and it's a collective that's created that event, right? Because
I love some of that stuff. Yes.
Yeah, without one part we don't have an event, right? If we don't have the community that comes out and support us, we don't have an event. If we don't have musicians that love to do what they do and come out and do this every summer, we don't have an event. If we don't have our sponsors, if we don't have our organizers, if we don't have our staff at 3CDC, if we don't have our venue, we don't have an event. So everybody is responsible for keeping this thing alive. And I am incredibly grateful to have been able to be a part of that, but just to be a part of such wonderful people. Yes. There's not one person that is, everybody that is a contributor of Salsa on the Square is like an absolutely amazing human. Yes. And we've been able to create this because of everybody's contributions. So
you've been able to set the tone for every summer here for the Latin community, because I've met families that I have seen, like you said earlier. I met them when they are just newlyweds. Now they have kids and they're coming to Salsa on the Square with little kids. So it's generational.
It is,
and it just keeps growing. Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you. I often see you when you MC Fountain Square when I see you dancing, I see you enjoying, and I see you taking pictures.
Yes.
How does photography fit in all this?
Yeah, so photography was one of the things during COVID when everything shut down.
Yes. I remember that year we didn't do Fountain Square.
We did not do Fountain Square.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the things that I kind of learned during that period of time was photography. But what's cool is that, I will bring my camera out and take pictures of, Salsa on the Square basically every week. And it's really cool to be able to kind of attempt to capture people's joy. Because the thing about Salsa on the Square is that there's so many things that make it amazing, the diversity of it, but the joy, like it is undeniable. And I think what has been a blessing and a privilege has been to attempt to be able to capture that through film.
People wait for those pictures every week. Yes.
Every week? I should start doing them every week then.
Yes, because a lot of they look for each other,
Yeah.
Well, I know that somebody took a picture of me, so I'm going to be there.
Okay, well, I should start doing it more often.
Yes, it is super cool.
I usually try to do like a once a season, but we can definitely do more than that.
Yes,
we can definitely do more than that. But
it's pretty cool because that's a part. It's a part of the culture of South Sound the Square, where the community is like living.
Yeah,
it,
100%.
We'll be back next week, but let me check if I'm on this week's pictures.
Yes. Well, the thing about it too, about photography as an art form, right? Because photography is also something I'm like completely passionate about as a medium, is that yes, we are kind of capturing moments, and there's some magic in that, but also it is so important because sometimes when it comes to this type of thing, and shout out to Victor Velez, who was here last week for this also, because without him, we wouldn't have years of documentation of South Sound the Square.
That's true.
We wouldn't. Without him, we would not have that. But the thing is, performing and things like in event work and that type of thing, they're ephemeral arts, meaning like they're there in the moment and then they're gone. Right? And sometimes the only thing you have to take with you is that photo, that one capture of that one moment. And so, I think there comes a time in life where sometimes the only thing you have left of that moment or of that person or of that time or of that memory is a photo.
Yes.
That's all you have left to take with you. And so, that's become something really important to me is, documenting as much as possible to kind of carry those with you throughout time, because eventually, as everything does, there's going to come a time where like somebody's not with us anymore or something isn't with us anymore. We can't do what we used to do, whatever the case, right?
It did during COVID. Like there was
exactly.
We were like
100%.
Yes.
100%. And so, instead of looking back and feeling like I don't have anything to bring with me from that time, something I'm very passionate about is being able to take even just like 1 second of one shot and try to recapture that feeling so you can take that with you.
I absolutely love what you did to promote South Sound the Square for this season, and you brought pictures from all of us through the years, and it was undeniable. I mean, everybody's having fun, everybody's just having a great time, and everybody feels represented.
Yeah.
So it was super cool.
Yeah, I had a few more I wanted to post, but unfortunately, Facebook only lets me upload 80 at a time. So I had to choose my 80 pictures.
Oh, then I'm honored because I made the.
You did. You made the cut. Yes.
Now, tell me about television and media. I've seen you in many of our local newscasts when they bring you to talk about salsa, to let the audience know what to expect when they say, okay, come to Salsa on the Square. Come this Thursday. This is what's going to happen. Well, I don't know how to dance salsa. Well, here's Tina. She's going to show you a little bit. But also, it was recently noted that you snagged a role on ABC 911 Nashville.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yes, it's been really exciting. My last 6 months have been extremely exciting. So I've been going back and forth to Nashville since last August.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, I'm working on several episodes for 911 Nashville, and then I've also made my way up to Chicago, and I've worked on a couple shows up there as well. So that's
cool is because this is at a different level.
Yes.
This is at a higher level.
This is a different level.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been really just eye-opening, and like it's been an incredible experience. I've learned a lot, and I have been a part of some pretty incredible projects, but I've never been a part of a project that has kind of been this big and high budget before. So there's a lot of ways that this is operating that I've never been exposed to before. It's been, like I said, I've met some incredible people and gained some amazing experience, and just just one of those things where like I'm just blessed. I'm very grateful.
It is
blessed and grateful.
It is such a cool thing. How does preparing for a television role differ from your preparation for a live salsa show, for example? So we talked about theater, musicals. live salsa, and now a TV show.
I know.
Huge budget, big artists.
Yeah.
You know, because we're all following it. We're all watching it because we're following Tina.
Yes. Yeah. So the film world, even different from live salsa, different from live theater, different from live performance in general, right? Mm-hmm. Because with film, you can go back and retake if you need to. And not only if you need to, but something that I was not as familiar with is, you know, especially in some of these like big emergency scenes and things like this, we are having to retake the same take over and over and over again because they need it from different angles, which was something that was a learning process for me. Just how much, or just how many times we were, you know, retaking one shot. And what the other thing that's kind of like for me is, you know, sometimes we're on set for, you know, 16 hours. Yeah, or, you know, if it's a night shoot, we're there like all through the night. We get out at like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting because you watch just how much work and how many people are involved and, you know, how intricate everything is and how many hours go into the scene. And then you watch the episode back and it's maybe like 3 minutes of television,
I
4 minutes of television.
Yeah, it's hours for those 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's and the thing is, I think sometimes, I don't know if people really grasp like how much work it is. Film is work.
Yes.
Film is work. And, you know, shout out to our camera crews and our behind the scenes people. They're working their booties off.
I've seen a lot of the behind the scenes pictures through you.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. It looks so interesting and upbeat and like, but it also looks like it's long hours.
Yeah. It's all of those things.
You know that, but you never actually realize how many hours are behind for a 3-minute scene.
Yes, I think my favorite of the episodes so far, which I can't talk about because it's already aired, we filmed a tornado scene, and that was wild. And so we spent 3 days filming the tornado scene, and I was like dripping wet because they had the rain machines and the wind machines and all these things. I would, you know, bend my shoe and it was just like water coming out of it, right? But watching the special effects and in real time, like I felt like I was, you know, filming Twister. But
it is so fascinating.
Yeah, it's really cool to kind of see how they all, how everybody does it. And then, of course, we're dealing with emergencies, so you've got like, you know, injury makeup and all kinds of stuff. That's just really neat. Yeah,
and that is something that you had not experienced before.
So I had seen it a little bit in the theater world. Like I had seen special effects and stuff, but nothing at this level where like you've got a room full of people who are, you know, beat up and injured and all the things, you know, like the volume of people, because you know, that was a particularly big scene.
How many people are behind the scenes?
I think
on a shot that you're doing.
I could be wrong about this, but I think our crew, so you're talking like you've got catering people and makeup people and special effects and sound and, you know, direction and all ADs, all the things.
So cool. We need some special effects too.
I'll come and do some makeup for you next week. Yeah, I want to say the crew on any given day is somewhere around like a 200-person deal.
Oh my gosh.
It's a big. At least for some of I mean, we have smaller scenes obviously, but those big emergency scenes, there's a lot of people involved.
I would have thought 50, and that's like so many people. But
yeah, especially for like those tornado scenes and stuff. Yeah, we had a lot of people involved in that. So, you know, you've got people taking care of facilities and all the things. It's a big production. Yes.
And you've been going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Back and forth to Nashville and back and forth to Chicago as well. And I've actually done a few projects in some other states as well.
We can't talk about
them yet.
Just yet, but we will. And at the same time, she was still doing Fountain Square. She was still teaching. Tell me about your teaching.
Yeah, so I'm teaching dance up at Wright State University. So I teach dance up at Wright State University, and then I also teach at the School of Creative and Performing Arts. Mm-hmm. I do residencies over there with our primary dance, and we've been working on this for like a good 4 years now. We've got a kids program, and they're learning how to Latin dance, and there's a bilingual element and a geographical element, and we've been kind of doing that in schools lately, but particularly for School of Creative and Performing Arts. And so this will be the 4th year I've done that residency with them, coming up in April and May.
That is such a great idea to be doing that, because this is something that, going back to what you told me when you first moved to the Midwest, there wasn't anything like that. So there's representation now. People are learning the differences. in each culture and embracing them. I think that is super cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think there will be more coming out about this soon, but we're also doing like a program for children that is open for public, and we'll have a performance element and things like that coming out throughout the summer as well. So yeah, we haven't announced that yet, but it's coming. So that'll be something this year where we'll get we have a couple dates. The residencies that are already in place will have their opportunity to perform, and then we'll have another one later in the summer. So
well, you'll let us know and we'll come to you.
Yes, deal.
Now, are you exhausted all the time?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Well, yeah, because you're young, and then when we do this art stuff, it doesn't matter how tired we are. It gets the adrenaline going, and a minute before going on stage, I'm not tired anymore. But it is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yes, a lot of different areas.
Yeah, and I think something that sometimes ends up getting lost is like just how much work this is. Yes. Like you'll see performances and stage work and stuff like that all the time, but it's also like learning music in between. It's not a drive from Nashville to Cincinnati; it's a rehearsal. So that's when I'm learning and memorizing music, and then I get there and I'm responding to emails
all night long recording in a studio one night.
Yep, it was like just 12 hours. Yeah.
Trying to keep my throat in shape.
Yep, session work. Yes. Yeah, stuff like that. But I think the thing is, I am tired quite often, but I don't think it's like not a drain type of tired. And I think that comes from just loving everything that I'm working on and kind of being able to maintain being inspired by it. Because it doesn't feel like, sometimes there are times where like, you've got something you got to get up and do in the morning. Like, oh, I got to go to this appointment, or those types of things.
I have to go teach in the morning. And
it's
a struggle sometimes.
Sometimes it's just like, okay, this is something that I know I have to do and I'm going to go do it. But when it comes to these types of things, I get very tired, but I don't ever really feel like it's not worth it. I don't really feel like it's like a spiritual tired, because it's something that I love. All of this are things that I love, and the reasons that I do them are for things that I love. So
are you the only one in your family, or do you come from a family that has artists or different kinds of art forms?
So my mom and dad, they will tell you that they're not artistic, but they're artistic in their own ways.
Yeah.
But they are intellectuals, absolutely. Like master's degrees, political science, computer science, math, right? History, like that was kind of what they were studying in school when they were doing their higher education. And if you talk to them, they'll be like, I don't know where it came from, right? And they're right. We don't have performing artists in my family, but they find ways to like make things artistic in their own way. They just don't know it, whether it comes to like, the cake that my mom is baking, or the organization that she puts in. Yeah, there are
the genetic part of it.
Yeah, it comes out. Yeah, she is very artistic, and so is my dad. They just don't implement them in a medium that is considered artistic.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. But performing artist wise, no, they don't. They weren't the type to perform or kind of do that type of thing.
Did they support you when you first started?
Oh yeah.
Because you said you used to go to New York to auditions and all that, and that's usually parents that are going with them.
Well, those were solo adventures for me, but they were definitely supportive from back home. Yeah. So my adventures in New York were crazy. The first time I flew myself to New York, I flew there for an audition. By myself.
Oh my gosh, New York is intimidating. I remember going
intimidating.
Trip, and it was super intimidating to me. And I was older already. I was like in my mid-30s.
Yeah. So that inspiration came from. Have you seen the show In the Heights?
Mm-hmm.
So they were on the Tony Awards, and I remember watching them and being like, okay, wait a minute, what is this? This is like the first time we had seen, Latinos in Broadway, or, hip hop, or, salsa music or Latin music and rap and all that stuff. It's the first time we had seen that represented, and particularly on Broadway. And so I was like, what is this? I need to be a part of it. So I go home and I was like Googling it, and they were like, audition this Thursday. Now, granted, the Tonys were on a Sunday, okay? Yeah. So they were like, we're having an audition on Thursday. So it's like, And I just bought my ticket and I just went. And so I think I talked myself in and out of that audition probably 4 and 5 times before
the
audition.
But you were in the air already, so.
Yeah, I was in the air, and I got there, and I was like, you don't have to go if you don't want to go. No, Tina, you came here, you got to go. No, you don't have to go. No, you have to go, right? So I was kind of doing that in my head, and I ended up going to the audition. But, yeah, that was kind of like a turning point of like my adventures in New York was going back to representation, being like, wait, there might be a space for me here, because at that time, you know, Broadway was looking for chorus girls. They wanted like 5'10", and blonde and skinny, kicking your legs to your face, and I was like 5'2", and brown and short, and like all the things. So I wasn't like your ideal Broadway stereotype at that time, because that's really what was working. But I was like, but this show though, this is interesting. And so really that was the thing that kind of inspired me to start going into New York and auditioning and things like that. So
pioneer.
Yeah,
you're a pioneer. And you're very brave as well, because
thank you.
Like I said, I went to New York for the first time, also trying to,
I was terrified, but I still went.
It was so scary. I was like, oh my goodness. Where do you get your motivation? What motivates you to stay creative and active across so many different mediums? Because you're singing, you're acting, you're dancing, you're hosting, you're taking pictures, capturing moments, and you're teaching. Not only adults, but you're also teaching new generations that need to be represented, because I don't think that there's enough for the first generation born Latinos here in America, so that they feel represented and that they feel honored. And so you're doing that. How do you feel motivated? How do you keep going?
I guess I don't look at it as motivation. I think I look at it more as inspiration, right? Like I feel very passionately about representation, about education, about, for me, being on stage is a moment of like transcendence. Not to get too spiritual about it, but I get to lift out of
course,
every day and be in a space and a reality that only exists in the context of live performance, and all of those things are things that are either transformative for me, or things that I hold dear to my heart, or things that I'm very passionate about giving to others. And so I don't necessarily feel like I need to stay motivated, because I just always feel inspired to do it.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
Now, how many of these ideas and projects do come from you? Well,
it's probably too many. Probably too many. Not all of them. But yeah, I definitely got a lot going on over here.
That's what I thought. What are your upcoming goals? What are your primary artistic goals for this year? Because can you believe that it's already April?
How did that happen? I was just saying, like,
I don't know.
We're at the beginning of 2026.
The quicker
it flies by.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So any collaborations? Are you coming back for season 2 of 911 Nashville?
So 911 will start filming in July or August of this year. It's kind of still up in the air for a start date for that, so we'll have to stay tuned.
But you're definitely coming back
on that. So, well, yes.
Awesome.
So that'll start back up in the summer, but I've also got some other, film projects and things in the works. And so I definitely am trying to kind of, this last 6 months has been such a whirlwind in the film world for me that was kind of unexpected. So I'm kind of trying to stay in that just as much. But, we've got Salsa on the Square is still going to be happening. Taco Fest is still going to be happening. We've got this kids project that is happening this year that's been in the works for a long time now.
You're getting a break from teaching in summertime, right?
In the summertime, yes. In the summertime, yes. But I'm also doing things like I'm doing Star Camp at the Children's Theater Cincinnati this year again, which is like one of my favorite, summer intensives to teach at. So I'm excited to be doing that one. And I've just got all kinds of.
And in the middle of everything, she was telling me that she has found time to do some substitute teaching.
Yeah, I do some substitute teaching here and there as well.
That's demanding.
It is. It is demanding. But
what advice do you have for a young Latin artist in the Midwest, in Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, somewhere in Illinois region, that are looking for a break? Did you ever plan all this? Was it always your dream, or things just happened and evolved?
So I think, definitely being a dancer, being a performer was definitely my dream. It's something that I set out and, put the work in to do, but, kind of branching out. There's some other projects.
These spin-offs.
Yeah. Like I did a little bit of like modeling and a little bit of, film work and commercials and things like that were kind of spin-off industries. So, I've talked to several artists kind of about this concept, and what we kind of settled on is that there really isn't a grand plan, right? A lot of times people are like, well, how do I get from A to B? Well, there isn't a roadmap for you to get from A to B, but what you can do and what you should do is you just want to actively always be doing the work. You always want to be getting better. You always want to be working hard. You always want to be bettering the product and looking forward and staying inspired and all those things, because the way that it works is that you have to be doing the work to paddle in the right direction, is the metaphor that I kind of use. So as long as you're working hard and paddling in the right direction, eventually some wave is going to come and it's going to pick you up and it's going to take you somewhere you didn't know you were going to go. And that wave could go left, it could go right, it could go straight, it could go straight up and straight back down, it could go any which way.
And it is like that. I totally believe and agree with you like that, just like what your mentor has told you. Let me teach you what you need to know to be better.
100%.
And so, and not just, weekend. Like I always said that I never did that.
Yeah.
I never did that. And so if there's an advice that Tina can give the kids, is that just keep on crafting your art and just be on top of it, because opportunities will come.
Yeah, keep getting yourself out there. Keep working hard. And I think the only last thing I have to say about it is just that, I think a lot of times people feel like too afraid that they're not going to be good enough, or that it's not going to be well received, or, that type of thing. And the thing about that is, like, that fear never really goes away. You gotta be able to push through that.
You're absolutely.
You gotta be able to push through that.
Yes.
Because the thing about it is, you have to be able to be a beginner first.
Yes.
If everybody starts somewhere. Even the things that I'm doing now with all these crazy projects. I was a beginner. Like when I first started Salsa on the Square, I was like standing like this, like I was like scared, right? But like I would not have gotten to where I'm doing now if I hadn't pushed through that first couple shows of me just being like a deer in headlights, right? So you can't be afraid to be a beginner. You have to just keep working hard, and don't be afraid to be afraid.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes
and keep
either.
going in the right direction. And eventually, those opportunities. But you have to be doing the work to paddle. If you're just standing on shore, waves are never going to come. You have to be out in the water doing the work.
That's profound, because there are people that have so much talent, knowledge of music, talent, abilities. They have the whole gift. But you have to paddle.
You have to paddle.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not going to come to you.
Yeah.
I've always said that to my students every morning. And I always say this to my students. First of all, don't be afraid of making a mistake. What's the worst that can happen?
Yep.
The worst that can happen is that you just stay there and nothing changes your way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 80% of the audition is showing up. And
that's true.
80% of it. That's not an exaggeration. 80% of the audition is showing up for it. And I think there's also, so this was like a joke that my parents told, like would tell when I was little, but it's also kind of shaped my life a little bit. And I won't go into the whole joke, but the gist of the joke is that, this guy was asking God, like, I really want to win the lottery. Please make me a millionaire. Please make me a millionaire. And God was like, okay, no problem. And the guy was like waiting, and he like didn't get the money. And one day he was like looking up and like, you said I was going to be a millionaire. Like, where's the money? And God looks down and he's like, well, you didn't buy a ticket. Oh. Right? You have to buy a ticket. You can't win the lottery if you... That's your 80%. You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. So you have to take the chance, right? Like, you have to do your part. You have to do the work.
Yes.
And so, that's wildly been a really formative concept in my life.
Siblings?
I have an older brother, yeah.
Okay. So you're one of two.
Yeah, I'm one of two, but we have an age gap. My older brother and I have like a huge age gap, so we didn't really grow up together, right? But yeah,
that is super cool. Now let's get personal.
Oh gosh,
these are the questions.
I'm worried. Okay,
because what I wanted to do is, share with our community all the amazing things that you're doing. You are our true representation here in the Midwest, which is huge because it's taken us so many years to have a well-established place, whether it's in college, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in business. And so I think we're pretty solid right now. And I am so honored to be a part of this. And having you here today, I got a lot of questions that were sent in to us.
Oh, okay.
So, how do you maintain your personal voice and stay real in an industry that often demands a specific image?
It's a challenge. That is a great question. I actually love that question so much. It's a challenge. Yeah. I think, sometimes it's tricky. And I think this is definitely a way that I feel like I've grown as an artist. When you're first starting out, there's like this fear to rock the boat a little bit. And so sometimes what ends up happening, and of course I was much younger when I started the industry, but what ends up happening is that you don't want to rock the boat, so you don't end up speaking up for yourself. And then you end up getting, kind of run over sometimes and that type of thing. And so it's a challenge. It really is kind of an art, learning how to navigate, okay, I'm going to stay authentic and true to myself, but also kind of meet the demands of the industry.
But you rock the boat without saying anything, Tina.
Oh,
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's that part of knowing somebody that touches you with the energy, and you're like that to me. I feel your energy all the time. The advice to newcomers, already told them, keep pedaling or
keep doing the work.
Yes, doing the work.
Yeah, even if it's bad, keep doing it. It'll get better.
And find that mentor that will guide you through, but that mentor that will be completely honest and brutal. I like bluntness.
And sometimes that mentor has to be you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that mentor has to be you. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is about your favorite area now that you've explored a little bit of everything?
My favorite artistic medium? It's so tough because they're all so different and they all bring out such a different part of me. So this is so hard. If I had to pick a favorite, I think it's a hot tie between live music performance and theater. Because in theater I get to use dance music and singing, dancing, and acting all at the same time.
Yes.
Right. But there also is something really special about the connection that you give with the audience in a live music performance.
The energy feedback that you get.
And I think the challenge is it's kind of the same idea, but on the theatrical side, you're playing a role. So you're connecting with them as somebody else. On the musical side, you're connecting with them as you. And wildly, they're both one's more challenging than the other in different ways. So if I had to pick, those would be my two favorite mediums: musical theater and live music performance.
Yes. That is pretty cool because both have audience.
I probably, when I was younger and I could do more than I can do now because I've gotten older, I probably would have picked dance. But because it's harder for me to do dance now, I would say music and musical theater. No, I can't. We can't.
Well, I always say I used to be able to pull a gig on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it happens like that.
Girl, I cannot do that anymore. And if I do, I just need to sleep and get better forever. But I love it because during the time when I'm doing it, it's my adrenaline, it's my love.
It's your life. Your life. Your life.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm doing it for people that are right there. So you want to give the best of you. And so that's what you do.
Yes.
What is beyond the awards and all the recognitions and you've stayed so true to Tina.
Aww.
Since I've met you. You're always the same Tina, and I love that about you. But I want to know that inside, in your heart, what does success truly means for you?
I think success for me is just the ability to be able to keep making art, and I think I always kind of question, am I really an artist, right? But the thing about it is, the accolades and, the jobs and all that stuff.
You are an amazing artist.
Thank you.
Yes, you really are, Tina.
All those, I am so just blessed and grateful for, all the accolades and things that have come back this way. But I think inherently, like my like genuine love for art means that like if tomorrow something happened and all of it went away, like you would still find me at a karaoke bar singing, or you would find me dancing in a studio somewhere, or you would find me creating in some way, because like that's something I genuinely love. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my soul and identity. So, like these amazing gigs that are coming my way, and like this, incredible awards and all these things that are happening is like amazing icing on top of this artistic cake that I, didn't anticipate and couldn't have planned for myself. But at the end of the day, like the work is really like what touches me and inspires me. And I truly do believe that art is transformative, and that it changes lives, and that it changes people and changes humans.
And it heals.
It heals. It heals.
Art, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a tool for healing. It's a tool for, finding yourself. It's a tool for growth. It's a tool for, truly, what being human is about. So, all of those things are things I really, truly love and care about.
Yes. And we can tell.
Oh.
Yes. Fun and quick fire questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
today.
so much for having me.
It was so much fun.
It's been so fun.
Tina was stuck on traffic forever
Yes.
and ever because
75 is tricky.
She came from Dayton. And so we know how traffic is. And I was like, please don't worry about it. We're just going to stay here and we're going to do this. We have a lot of people waiting for this interview. If you could open a show for any artist in history, who would that be?
Selena.
Oh.
Yeah. Mostly just so I could see her.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that I saw her?
I'm jealous. Now I'm jealous.
Okay. This is going to tell you how old I am. I'm 57. But when I came to grad school, I went to the University of Arizona. And it was in 1992. In 1992, Selena was like starting to tour in those Western states. And I remember we all went, but she was huge in Tucson,
Texas,
and she had
Arizona, Southwest.
She had already,
Yeah.
And so I remember we went to see her because our friends from college, because I was in grad school and at the University of Arizona, and they invited us, and she had a stage that was in the middle of the stadium.
Ooh.
In the middle, and I'm like, do you? Because we were coming from South America, where this cumbia was not famous yet. She was just transitioning over. She was still not singing in English and all that stuff, but she was such a cool girl.
Aww.
She was.
I believe it.
Such a cool girl. I remember that she was so kind because it was a huge artist that was coming to Tucson, right? So all the radios and everybody wanted to interview her. She took the time to talk to everybody.
Oh yeah.
Everybody.
She was so personable.
Yes, she was. So what is one song that never fails to get you on the dance floor?
Oh my God, all of them. Every single one of them. If there's a beat, you're gonna find me out there.
What is your favorite local spot in Kentucky or in Cincinnati that we may not know about?
For Latin stuff? Okay, so I'm going to shout out one of our local Latin businesses right now. So I had my birthday party here. There's a new Latin club called La Gozadera.
Yes.
So we are totally in support of local Latin businesses. So La Gozadera is over, I think, near Norwood.
Yes.
And it's a little Latin club, and they've got Latin nights, and they've got karaoke, and they've got, I think, bingo and some other games, I think.
Different things from the Latin culture with different Mexican night.
Yeah.
And you have the tropical, the Cuban night.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tino.
Shout out to Tino, and he's amazing owner, and so we really want to support him. So if I've got a night off and I want to go hang out, we're gonna go support Tino at La Gozadera.
That's true. I went there. She celebrated her birthday there, and I ended up my birthday there too.
You did.
Come to La Gozadera. So we ended up being there. What is your message for all of our audience? All the people that are proud of what our community looks like today, and that you represent us so well.
Oh, thank you. I think just right now, and I'm going to keep it light here when I say this, but now is a challenging time.
Yes, it is challenging.
It's a challenging time. And I think if I was to give a message, it would be something like this, that it feels intimidating, or it feels heavy sometimes right now to be a part of our community. But I'm going to take a cue from our Super Bowl show this year and just kind of reiterate that the way that we combat that is love for our culture, love for each other, and supporting each other that way, and not to shrink ourselves, being here, being authentic, supporting each other, and being proud of that is important, especially right now. And so I would say for anybody watching, if you have a dream, follow it.
Yes.
Okay? If you have a dream, follow it, and don't give up. That's in your heart for a reason. So if you have a dream, follow it. And right now, even if it feels, a little scary, feels intimidating, like, don't be ashamed of who you are, and don't be ashamed to show it.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing. I don't think that I've always felt so proud of being Latina in the Midwest, but now more than ever, and that's why we created this corner called Lente Latino, because we want to support our local artists. We want to support our people that are doing things for our community and dedicating the cultural aspect to the new generations here in this area. To our kids, we're promoting bilingualism. We are promoting speak Spanish at home, speak English outside. Well, we're going to do something about language acquisition as well. But thank you so much for being with us today in our 6th program. And Tina, I love you.
I love you.
And I welcome you, and hopefully we can get together. Well, we're going to be with Tina in Taco Fest, Fountain Square every Thursday. And then hopefully we're going to be able to get back together and cover that project that you have with the kids.
Yeah.
With the kids.
Yeah, well, Cincy Cinco too. Tropicals will be playing down at Cincy Cinco too. So you can
Cincy Cinco, you want to go see Tina in her singing style with Tropicoso in Fountain Square every Thursday and Taco Fest. And this is while she's getting ready to go back to Nashville. We love you, Tina. Thank you so much.
Thank you
We're
so
honored
much
to have you here. We'll see you next Tuesday. We're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, especially for us, in our Latin culture, when we take care of each other. And so we're going to be talking about what it means to be taking care of other people when you're just fully dedicated to taking care of your relatives and things like that are very common in our culture. You stay safe, enjoy the good weather, and I will see you next Tuesday. Ciao, ciao.